seen a number of developers take the approach of contracting the O&M contractor directly. So in the past, we've seen them go to the group that's building the project. The group that's building the project may or may not do O&M themselves, so they would contract someone like MaxGen to perform the work. But now what we're starting to find is there's been an evolution of developers saying, we're owning it long term, let's contract with that group who's protecting our financial investment long term. We also have started to see more involvement from utilities with regard to control, notification processes. So with the bigger projects, there's a big focus on how it affects the grid and how people interact with the group operating the grid. So that's what our focus has been on in growing our company. I think the reason for so much is you're getting people that don't want to build it in-house, and they're focusing on groups that are well established in a specific space that can bring a new revenue stream to their current offering. We see it happening all around us. You have manufacturers acquiring service providers, you have service providers acquiring smaller service providers. Battery storage is a big thing, and I think we're going to continue to see that for the next probably year or so. I think there's two. I think the first one is the definition of O&M, and that varies depending on who you're talking to. So without a standard of what people are working from, scopes of works vary, the operational deliverables vary, and that makes it hard to work with everyone across the board because we can't offer a set product. So we have to be flexible, we have to be nimble, and we adjust our programs according to the client and according to the project. The second is the education piece. Many times the project budgets are planned before an O&M provider is engaged in the project. So there's either a huge overestimate, which opens up a lot of other areas of focus, or it's underestimated and a service provider is going to say, well, we can't do what you need for that price, and it doesn't make the project work, and then there's a much more risk that comes into play. The first thing that I think is needed is standardization. Having a scope of work that we know all parties need, having an operational procedure when it comes to reporting, management, how we work with finance groups, how we work with utilities. If everyone's on the same page, then we have a way to measure how companies are performing, how sites are performing. The second thing would be working on the training. So we need to have set programs for individuals doing the work, both in the field and operational protocol. That's going to allow everyone to be on the same page in terms of what needs to be delivered and how is it being delivered. So we work with a number of programs, local community colleges, training veterans to come into the field, and that's something that we're hoping there's a standard on what is a solar technician, helps create more jobs, helps more jobs become available in general as our industry continues to grow. The training piece is the key to growth. We need people to do the work, and we can't grow without those people. I don't really think it's going to affect O&M or the need for O&M. We work on projects that are both to be constructed and already in operation. So to be constructed, we may sign an O&M agreement, but we don't start the O&M agreement until the project's complete, which we have about 800 megawatts of O&M contracts for projects to be built. That number, there may be less available if the ITC ends. There's still, I think, going to be new projects. It's just maybe in the volume that we're seeing today. Definitely not the big push that I think we're going to see next year for projects to be completed. But the focus from a sales or business development standpoint will probably shift from what is to be built to what is operating now, who is the owner, who is the group providing operations and maintenance, and how we have available opportunities there in that space. That might be the focus that changes once the ITC goes away.